to you. Today is the 8th day in the month of January 2025 and it's midweek Wednesday. Of course, Wednesdays come with its own countdown, to the weekend. Let's put it like that. All right. Welcome to Family and Values on Galaxy Television, where we are reaching out for the stars. I will still say Happy New Year to you once again. If this is the first time you've seen us or coming across our show, Family and Value is a show where we discuss everything that has to do with your family. My family is the beginning of the new year. Set your goals right, pursue it, write it plain, and run with it. That is the vision for the year. Of course, it's going to be a year of ever flourishing. In everything you do, you would flourish this year. Just keep yourself focused and keep upset of heart. We are streaming across all our social media platforms on Facebook. Shout out to our Facebook family and to YouTube. We are seeing you. We love you. You can download the Galaxy mobile app so that you can watch us on the go. A big shout out to the Star Times family. We love you too. I am Princess Joy Ayo Abu. Just in case you're wondering, what's this pretty lady's name? That's my name, Princess. It comes with a lot of elegance. Welcome to the show. It promises to be another educative one. You know how we started last week all the way to this week. We have talked about how your parenting lifestyle will be this year. Let it not just be business as usual. Be intentional because there is a lot going on in the parenting space. And we had that conversation last week. And this week we started with self-evaluation to procrastination. And there was a lot of feedback from last week till now. We love it because that's what we are doing, kickstarting your year. Right, just like we say, if you don't know where you're coming from, you should know where you're going to. Okay. Enough of all of that, and I'm not in the studio alone. When they say two hearts work as one, I thought of wearing something, but I just felt like, let me not knowing I was going to see my very own coming in all black, yeah. When I wore white, so today now she's wearing black. I know she's trying to tell us that the year has started in full. You know who I'm talking about? Like somebody said, I know you're going to say it's Mama Gen Z. Of course, who else am I going to be talking about? Let's give it up for Mama Gen Z. Good morning to you.
A beautiful morning to you, Joy. Okay, the days are expensive. So when you spend a day, you have one day less, to spend in life. So today is another day. So how do you want to spend it? That's one thing you need to first put your mind to. How do you want to spend today? A beautiful grace God has given us is life. And so use that life perfectly. Use it beautifully. So make sure you spend each one of the day that God has placed before you. Like today, Wednesday, 8th January. Spend it beautifully. Spend it wisely. That's what Jim Rohn had said. So on that note, I hope you had a splendid night rest. My name is to remain Olori Adejoke Adebi David. My friends call me Olori AJ. So let's go with today and go well with it as well.
Yeah, and go well with it. Do we have any birthday shout-outs?
Yes, there's a beautiful big sis. She has a landmark, just like our guest was just telling us that he's going to celebrate the landmark this year. This is a landmark celebration to Dr. Abby Adeleke. She actually stepped on the diamond on a day like this. So glory be to God that He has taken you thus far. On behalf of Family and Values, on behalf of my Pillow Whispers, and also Sister Support Sisters, we want to wish you the very best of this new age, this new step, this new level of life. And to everyone celebrating today, we pray it will not be the least of celebration. And also to a darling sister, Adura Agbemi Laoye, happy birthday to you as you had another year. Many more fruitful years ahead.
Many more fruitful years to everyone celebrating wedding anniversary, anything you are celebrating, whether you're even celebrating happy boyfriend, anyone you're celebrating, we are wishing you the very best. That's what family is all about. All right, let's go now. Mini feature. When we return, our guest is in the video. Has somebody seated to deliver this morning.
Yes,
don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Any feature for today's conversation. It's important we address key issues to help us build a better society and a better family. And this morning we are discussing nurturing meaningful relationships. A lot of us will agree that attitude, just like one of our guests said within the week, has made us lose a lot of connections. Contracts that would have given us millions. We are still shouting. What is it that you did? That relationship, how did you attend to it? What was it that you said over the phone? And this morning, we are going to be discussing that with our guest, our very own, all the way from the, when you have people like this and we talk of Kilishi, they are the ones that we are talking about. You think I was going to say that Kilishi? I will say it. Good morning to you, Pastor Daniel Gombe. I love the fact that you're laughing. Now, Pastor Daniel is a mental and addiction therapist. He is a relationship coach. So he has a whole lot. Even though you're Oemi Kilishi, good morning and welcome to the show. Happy New Year. I will say it so that they know that you owe me Kilishi.
Actually, love Kilishi.
Good morning. I will mention carbonated drinks.
I
just say good morning.
Beautiful morning.
Beautiful morning to you. Thank you so much.
Good to see you. How is everyone over there?
Oh, very good. Very good.
Just that you didn't bring the Kilishi.
You see?
It's the Kilishi.
That is the main thing.
Okay. We will deal with that since we are talking about
nurturing meaningful,
meaningful. You have surrendered to joy now.
Fruitful ones. Intentional. I love that. Right, it goes a long way. Okay, welcome. Right, now, concerning today's conversation, nurturing meaningful relationship.
Yeah.
What ways can one build a meaningful relationship? When we put topics together, we are really looking at impacting lives. And relationship is one area that we cannot be talking about husband and wife where we leave the main things. People need money. People want to make connections. People want to have a good atmosphere. But sometimes one error will make you lose a contact that would have saved you problems. I've been in that shoes, and there are sometimes I'm like, I wish I had dealt with this relationship in this way. This person would have been a better position to help me here. So in what ways can we build such relationships?
Okay, thank you so much. Actually, before you go into a relationship, you need to first ask yourself, what is the objective of this relationship? What do I want to bring into this relationship? And what do I want to get out of it? So if one has that understanding and the mindset, it means for every relationship you step into, you will ask yourself, what's the objective? Because once you have an objective, you can set goals to achieve those objectives. If you don't, then it becomes an unintentional relationship, and most unintentional relationships are not fruitful relationships. So what is the objective? We have all sorts of relationships. In the family, we have husband, wife. We have father, son. We have father, daughter. We have mother, son. We have mother, daughter. All those relationships are there within the family. Okay. So the family relationship is more like a caste one. Okay. The rules guiding the behaviors are more or less caste. But we have other relationships we develop outside the family. Sometimes those relationships end up being treated like a family relationship. But so you mentioned you had a relationship that you felt you didn't manage well. Probably you did not ask yourself, what is the objective of this relationship? And because you didn't ask that, maybe you didn't set goals. And anything you are doing that doesn't have a goal does not really have a meaning, because there is just like no fruit that you are expecting, no harvest that you are expecting. And when I talk of harvest, like a farmer, before you talk of harvest, you talk of input. So what is the input you are making into this relationship? What is the contribution? A lot of people like to first harvest before they contribute. It doesn't work in relationships. No. In relationships, it's first 100% input.
Wow. Even now? It's difficult now. It's difficult to get
100%
that.
influence.
But it's difficult to get that now. Don't you think
It's
so?
so the society has made us to believe that it does not work now. But I have seen it work. I have seen in recent times, I have seen relationships that for over 5 years, I was just putting into it. I wasn't getting anything out of it. I was just putting into it. I have seen my wife do the same thing, just putting into this relationship. And eventually, the harvest starts coming in. The meaning, the fruit, the objectives start yielding results. Now, why is it that people think such does not work today? It's because people want to like plant a corn today and harvest a crop tomorrow. It doesn't work. The principle of planting and harvesting applies to most things in life, including relationship.
Can we now say that declaration that we have now, I failed in understanding what relationship is all about? Some of them, not all.
Yeah.
Because I want to believe we still have generations of now, 21st century, who are very close to the elders of the 60s, 50s, and 70s, and they're comfortable with their way of viewing life. But you look at some generation of the 21st century, same 21st century, that will still tell you, excuse me, you don't, I don't need to wait until maybe 6 months into a relationship before you start appreciating what I am, or try to sow, just like you said. Some of them want a quick reaction, a quick action, to show that you are really meaningfully into this relationship and you are really nurturing me, because it's that nurturing that will make me give you the answer that you really are. Oh no, this one is serious. Oh no, this guy, no, this lady, no, I'm not going to let this go. Because that's what some of them believe. So what will be your, counsel on this note?
Okay, just as you said, this generation, even within a generation, you will always find people who act differently, whose behaviors, whose attitudes are just remarkably different from that of the majority. So we are in a generation where we are almost, everything is fast. Fast food, fast this, fast this. And people think even relationships should be fast. And it doesn't work that way. Okay, recently I met somebody who invited me, said, come, I want to meet you. And I went and spent the whole day with him.
Wow.
At the end of the day, around 6 p.m., say, it's like we won't be able to talk today. Can you come and meet me another day? And he doesn't live in Lagos.
Wow.
So the question I need to ask myself is, do I want to build this relationship?
It's your time.
What are the objectives? What do I want to make out of this relationship? If I want to do something out of it, I have to submit myself to that process. It's not that he was really too busy, but he just wants to, I felt he wants to test my genuineness of coming into that relation. Am I just taking it because it's close and easy for me to, or if I should make a sacrifice, will I still want to maintain the relationship? And that is the portion that most of the current generation don't want to. They don't want to make that sacrifice. They don't want to take that time. And so you find them jumping and out of relationship. But if you look at the ones that are making steady progress, they are the ones that are making sacrifice. They are the ones that are exercising patience. Because a lot of it, you find that because of this fast, you see people making money. They have money, but they don't have attitude. And so you see that puts them into some bad positions. Either they go against the law and the law goes after them, or they go into a lifestyle because there is no attitude, there is no character. Yeah? The most dangerous thing somebody can have is to have money without character.
All right, I'll hold you on that. Let's go on our word of mouth. The most dangerous thing anyone can have is to have money without character or attitude. Let's go on our word of mouth. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We have been discussing nurturing meaningful relationship, and our guest is still very much in the studio. Before we went on that break, Olori was to come in with her questions. So
yeah, Pastor Daniel. Okay, so I want to ask, what are the factors that can actually hinder the nurturing of a meaningful relationship? What are those factors? And just pin them one by one.
Okay, yes. Quite a number of them. One of the fundamental factors in nurturing a meaningful relationship is effective communication. And where there is no effective communication, you find that there is no proper understanding. So it can hinder the nurturing of the relationship. And that happens in both business and in marriage. Yes. In the family, if the communication between the husband and the wife is not effective, then people are left to make assumptions. If the communication between the parents and the children are not effective, they are left to make assumptions. And a lot of these assumptions do not really correlate with what the actual fact on ground is. Okay. So the other one is forgiveness. Relationships are bound to have conflicts. Yeah. And when these conflicts are not properly handled, when the individual feels like, I will not forgive this, it will hinder the nurturing of it. Because you can't even make progress. Once there is unforgiveness, anything I try to do to you will just bounce off because you are no longer accepting whatever deposits I want to make into your emotion. You blank off. Okay? In marriage relationships, when intimacy is denied, it affects the nurturing of that relationship. Now, when we talk of intimacy, it can be emotional intimacy, it can be physical intimacy, it can be intellectual intimacy, whichever of them, if they are not made available, if they are not respected, it can hinder the nurturing of the relationship. Things like acts of service, okay? In building a relationship with somebody, there will be acts of service, sacrifices. Yeah. When those are not forthcoming, yeah, it hinders the growth of that relationship because it is those little things we put into the relationship, that makes the relationship to flourish. Because at the end of the day, if you look at relationships, everything you are doing in the relationship will amount to either withdrawing from the relationship or depositing into it. And nurturing a good relationship requires that you make more deposits than withdrawal. It's like trying to make a withdrawal from an account where you're not putting money. Yeah. Even if the bank allows you an overdraft, for one or two occasions. A time will come, they will be line and say, you can't take any more money until you
You
deposit.
deposit.
A lot of people go into relationships why they want to just withdraw and withdraw and withdraw. It's one of the things that causes crisis in marriage. When my emotional bank is empty,
Is empty. What are you
and somebody wants to withdraw
withdrawing?
from
What
me,
are you withdrawing?
what
What are you withdrawing?
Unless
What
you
is
want to give
left?
me last pinch of
Exactly.
What are you withdrawing?
So those little things, they are the things that when they are not properly put in perspective or communicated or made available in a relationship, that relationship cannot nurture into anything meaningful because it won't bear fruit.
Still talking about communication because sometimes you I know of a lady that lost a very suitor because of manner of communication. And sometimes like yesterday, a guest said something that first impression can I think you said there's no second chance for first impression, something like that. Like
there's no
second chance.
There is no
Second chance for first impression. So it is the first impression of communication I gave to you that will make you realize that should I go ahead with this person or not. But now for people who have lost meaningful relationships and are still trying to see how they can recover it, still trying to pet. Some people will still want to call somebody to talk. Maybe I'll call Olori and say, please help me talk to Pastor Daniel. My kilishi, he didn't bring it, And, I'm just citing examples there. Or marriages or relationships, intimate relationships that are at the edge of losing apart. Even in business, probably somebody called you for a contract and you were not in your right mood to answer and you didn't know the number and you just answered off the. And then when you realize you're trying to now, it's not like that. What is the role of communication in trying to recover lost meaningful relationships?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. As you said, getting it right faster is very critical. As you tried to explain earlier, first impression does last long, but good impression lasts longer. So if the first impression is a good one, it lasts longer. So it's not just any first impression. So each time you are responding to somebody, you need to be conscious of the fact that how far will this response go? Let me just digress into this. The Bible says we walk by faith, not by sight, not by emotion. See, people most often don't separate their emotions from the objective of a relationship. They just mangle everything. Once you have a relationship starting, you must draw the line and say, okay, this is a place for emotion, this is a place for objectives. And the objectives must always have their way over emotions. A lot of times I've seen people cry over, I didn't know. I didn't know. This person called me with a number I have not said. And I didn't say the best. So in communication, words are not oranges that when they fall on the ground, you can take them back. Once it has come out, you can't recover it.
That's it.
Now, damage control cannot happen overnight because just like you can raise a building in 5 years and you can use the dynamite and blow it in 30 seconds. Now, to reconstruct that building, it requires time, it requires patience, it requires sacrifice. Because the person will need to be convinced that this time around, you are genuinely interested in building a relationship. The person needs to be sure that you are no longer going to be saying all those flippant things that can hurt the relationship because don't forget, each person you are communicating with has emotions, they have feelings, A human being is a human being.
A human being is a human being.
Okay, now this is where I want to come in from. Can a recovered meaningful relationship ever be the same as it was from the beginning? From that award on Marble that said that, you know, it's not just for you to forgive or let go. A relationship is you hold hands together, even in misunderstanding, in troubles, you're still holding hands. It will happen. That's why it's a relationship. And that's what will continue to make it grow.
Sure.
I want to ask, can a recovered meaningful relationship ever remain the same, even when all the forgiveness, all the confession, all the, coming together again to say, okay, let it just go. We're still together. Can it ever remain the same? And what is the role of forgiveness in all this?
Okay, so can it ever remain the same? The answer is yes, it can even become better. Okay?
Being human that we are.
Yes, it can even become better. What is the role of forgiveness? A lot of times, people think forgiveness is a thing of the mind. No. Forgiveness is the action you take after you have said, I forgive.
The
action you take after you have said, I forgive. Wow.
Because that will determine if you have truly
forgiven
so if
that
you
person.
used to jump on somebody and hug the person and laugh and feel free. Forgiveness means when you meet the person the next time after you were hurt and the person have said, I am sorry, and you said forgive. It means you do the same thing.
As humans that we are.
That's why I said as human that we are.
Now, when you do that, you restore trust. You restore faith back into
when the other person think that
no. Forgiveness
is the action you take after you said I forgive.
The action you take.
Yes.
That means the moment I tell you, Pastor Daniel, I have forgiven you that you didn't bring kilishi. The action I'm going to take after that moment will be a neutral.
It's like
not holding anything against you, whether you bring the kilishi or not.
Tell me you bring.
Whether I buy, whether I give,
you bring. The action is that you bring for me.
It means the pictures I will get them.
You know, Pastor Daniel, of recent,
this is so deep.
I want to remember this Bible passage where God said that He's not supporting divorce. In the
yes,
Bible.
He says,
Matthew.
Matthew. He says, I hate
5,
divorce.
I think 29, 27.
Yes. He said, I hate divorce.
Yes, he said he hates divorce.
Yes.
And I was breaking it down because it simply means, even when I was in the kitchen, just off the game in my heart, it simply means that God is telling us that He hates divorce. Try as much as possible to forgive this person and let this person continue to be your wife or continue to be your husband. Mm-hmm. He also went ahead to say, I don't know how He said it in the Holy Quran. I wish somebody can just send us a message regarding what He said in the Holy Quran. You know, it helps us to balance this. Yeah. I love balancing my information. Sure. So He also went ahead, because you are rounding up, Abby. Yes. It also went ahead to say something like, if just like what you define as for the action you take, He said something about, apart from saying he hate divorce, He said we should do 70 times 70
times 7.
70 times 7 forgiveness.
Yes.
And He also went ahead to say, a man or a woman who got married to a divorcee is committing adultery.
He's living in adultery. Not committing.
He's living in adultery. Hey, okay. I'm just trying to paraphrase. Now,
the person is living in it.
Now, in other words, what is that message to us that we should totally forgive and not hold anything back? How do we do that, being human?
Okay, so for me, how I pin it down is to say divorce is not an option. Once I rule that option out, it means each time there is a conflict, it is looking for a solution. Because once you make an option not one of the things you will consider, you don't look at it. So if there's a conflict between me and my wife, I don't even consider it. It's not one of the things that come to my mind. It's not one of the solutions. I start going into what is the root cause. Because in dealing with conflicts or problems, the number one thing is find the root cause. Why? Why did it happen? What led to it? Once you can establish the root cause, you have solved 50% of the problem.
Okay.
So most relationships these days make provision for separation, if it is just any normal relationship, okay, or for divorce. Once there is that provision, the human brain wants to go through the path of least resistance. People mostly will want to go through the path of least resistance. So if divorce is an option, it looks like the cheapest thing. It looks like the reaction that requires the least of stress. Is it not just to go our ways? You don't need to engage your brain. You don't need to engage your heart. You don't need to engage your emotion. It's just to say, let's quit.
All right, because that time is fast spent, I want you to give your final words to our viewers concerning nurturing very meaningful relationship this year. Key things that you can say, okay, you talked about intentionality,
Yes.
like let's just have that,
conversation.
and while we round up.
Okay, so my final word is in nurturing a relationship that is meaningful, or I want to use the word fruitful, you need to act like the farmer who puts a seed into the ground, patiently cultivates it, applies manure to make it grow well, uses pesticides to make sure insects don't devour it, uses herbicides to make sure grasses don't grow around it. At the end of the day, the farmer keeps on making what? Input into the farm, giving the crop the best attention it will get. And what does the crop do at the end of the day? It gives the farmer a great yield. That is nurturing a relationship. If you apply the principle of farming to a relationship, you will never get it wrong. You will never miss it, because at the end of the day, the great harvest coming from a well-nurtured relationship is benefiting you who have been nurturing the relationship. Thank you.
Benefiting you who have been nurturing the relationship. Don't forget the definition of forgiveness is the action you take after you said, I am sorry. If that is the only thing you can take this morning, please embrace it. Hold on to it. Nurture it. Polish it. Write it somewhere. If your wife hurt you, your brother, your sister, even your boss in the hospital, like I always tell my children, greet whoever is fighting with you, so that, Bible says you are putting heap of coal upon the person's head. So if that is the only thing you can do this year, start